I'm 82 years old now, and if I could go back and change one decision, it would be moving into a nursing home. At the time, it felt like the right call. My kids said it was safer, and I wanted to believe that. But what I didn't know was how much of myself I'd leave behind. My freedom, my habits, my little comforts. That quiet loss, it sneaks up on you. So please, listen to what I learned the hard way. When I first thought about moving into a nursing home, I pictured peace and safety. No more worrying about groceries or climbing stairs. Meals would be ready, help would be close, and everything would be simple. That is what they said, and I believed it. I wanted to believe it, but no one told me what I would be giving up. It is not just about moving to a new place. It is about how much of your life you are leaving behind. Your habits, your privacy, your sense of control. Those are not small things. They are the pieces that make life feel like yours. And once they are gone, getting them back is harder than you think. You know what I thought? I thought I would try it out, just for a bit. If it did not feel right, I could pack up and go back home. I told myself, no big deal. But here is what I did not understand. Moving into a nursing home changes everything. Not just your address, but how you live, who you see, how much you move, and even how often you laugh. Little by little, the things that made me feel alive started slipping away. I did not notice it at first. Then one day, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized who I was. That is why I am sharing this. So maybe you can see it coming before it is too late. Regret. 1. Losing freedom. You know, the biggest surprise about moving into a nursing home wasn't the shared bathroom, the hospital-like smell, or even the food that all tasted the same after a while. No, the thing that hit me the hardest was how fast I lost control over my own life. I'm not talking about major decisions either. I mean the little ones, the ones you don't even realize matter until someone else is making them for you. Back at home, I had my rhythm. I woke up when I wanted, make my coffee just the way I liked it. Scrambled eggs, 2 slices of toast and light butter, sit by the window and read the paper. Then maybe I'd take a short walk or call my neighbor just to chat. All those tiny choices, they made me feel like myself. But once I moved in, everything changed. Breakfast is served at 8, period, whether you're hungry or not. Showers are scheduled, and not when you want them, when they have time. Want to go outside for a walk? You might have to wait until someone is free to assist you, and if no one is available, well, maybe tomorrow. Even getting dressed became a group activity. One morning I asked for my blue sweater. The aide brought me a gray one and said, "This is what we have ready." I didn't argue. It felt silly to push back over a sweater. But that was the moment it sank in. My choices were no longer mine. You start to go along to get along. You stop asking, you stop deciding, and before you know it, you're just following the routine, not living your own life. It's not always loud or dramatic. It's quiet, subtle, like water wearing down the stone. Little by little, you disappear. And the worst part? It's easy to let it happen. You think it's not a big deal. It's just breakfast. It's just a sweater. But those moments stack up. And soon, you're not sure when you last made a decision that truly felt like your own. I remember one morning, I woke up early. The sun was shining in through the blinds and I wanted to sit outside, but I had to wait, and by the time someone was available to take me, it had clouded over. The moment was gone, and I felt that loss more than I expected. Losing independence doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow process, and if you're not paying attention, you won't even notice it's happening, until one day you look around and realize you're just existing, not living, just going through the motions. So before you or someone you love takes that step, I want you to think. Think, are you ready to give up the little freedoms that make life yours? Because once they're gone, getting them back is not so easy, and you might miss them more than you ever thought possible. Let me tell you this. Independence is not just about big decisions. It's about choosing what to eat, when to rest, who to talk to, and how you spend your day. Those choices add up to a life that feels like your own. Without them, you're just another body in a building full of schedules and silence. Regret 2. Feeling forgotten. When I first moved in, my family said they'd visit often, and they meant it. I believe that. At the start, they came every week. My daughter would bring cookies, my grandkids would show me their drawings. For a while, it felt like I still had one foot in my old life. But over time, the visits slowed down. My daughter started calling instead of coming. The calls got shorter. Sometimes she'd say, "Dad, I'll try next weekend." But next weekend turned into the one after that. And then it became, "Let's aim for next month." I get it. Life is busy. The kids have school. She's got work and responsibilities. I do not blame her. But that does not make it easier. You start to notice little things. Holidays feel quieter. Birthdays feel a little lonelier. You look around the common room and you see the same look on other faces. That quiet hope that today might be the day someone comes to visit. There was this one woman, Mary. She used to dress up every Sunday morning. Hair done, lipstick on, blouse ironed. She would sit by the front entrance, watching the door. Every single Sunday, she would say, "My son might come today." Some days he did. Most days, he didn't. And every time, she smiled anyway. But you could tell. You could feel the ache underneath. It's not that our families stop loving us. It is just that we are not part of their daily lives anymore. Out of sight does become out of mind, not out of heart, but definitely out of schedule. And slowly you start pulling back too. You do not want to be a burden. You hesitate before picking up the phone. You tell yourself, "They're busy, I'll call later." But later turns into never. You get used to the silence. But it is a heavy kind of quiet. Loneliness in a nursing home is different. It is not just about being alone, it is about being forgotten, about feeling like the world kept moving and you got left behind. Some days I would sit with the phone in my hand for 15 minutes, just staring at the screen, trying to decide whether I should call my son, and some days I just put it down. I am sharing this because I want people to know, if you are thinking about a nursing home for yourself or someone you love, think about more than just medical care. Think about connection. Think about visits. Think about the emotional weight of being slowly left behind. Because once the visits stop, once the phone stops ringing, what you are left with is time, and time, without people to share it with, can feel long and empty. Ask yourself this: could you live in a place where even love fades into the background? Regret 3. Losing purpose. You know, when people talk about aging, they usually mention things like health, memory, or money, but not enough folks talk about purpose. That was the hardest thing I lost when I moved into a nursing home. My sense of purpose just faded, little by little. Back home, I had things to do. I made my own coffee. I watered the plants every morning. I fixed little things around the house. I took care of my neighbor's dog when she went to visit her daughter. These were small things, sure, but they gave my days meaning. They made me feel needed, useful, like I still had a role to play. When I moved in, all that stopped. Meals were brought to me, the laundry was done for me, even the plants in the lobby were fake. I did not have anything to care for. Nothing that relied on me, and for a while I told myself it was a blessing. No more chores, no more responsibilities. But after a few weeks, something started to feel off. I found myself waking up and asking, what am I even getting up for? There was no list to check, no dog to feed, no mail to grab, just hours ahead filled with waiting. Waiting for meals, waiting for activities, waiting for bedtime. That kind of life wears you down. There was a man down the hall named George. He had been a carpenter for over 50 years, built his own home, raised 3 kids, and always had some projects going. When he moved in, he brought a small box of tools. He said he wanted to help fix things around the place, but no one let him. Liability, they said. I watched that box of tools collect dust under his bed, and I watched George change. He got quieter, slower, less present. One day, he told me, I used to wake up with ideas. Now I wake up and wait. And that hit me. We are not just made to rest. We are made to contribute, to create, to serve others, even in small ways. And when that is taken away, we start to shrink, not just physically, but in spirit. You lose your spark, your drive, your reason. I tried to fill the time, read a few books, watched television, went to a puzzle group, but it was not the same. It was passing time, not living it. So if you are considering a nursing home, I want you to ask yourself, what gives you purpose? What gets you out of bed in the morning? And more importantly, will that still be part of your life if you move in? Because once you lose that, it is not easy to get back. And some folks never do. Regret 4. Declining health. Before I moved into a nursing home, I was doing okay. Not perfect, but okay. I stretched every morning. I walked to the mailbox. Sometimes I even cooked my own meals. It kept me moving. It kept me feeling like myself. But once I got here, things changed. Meals were brought to me. I did not need to stand in the kitchen. If I dropped something, I could push a button and someone would come help. It felt good at first, like a little luxury, but slowly, without even noticing, I started moving less. And here is the thing they do not tell you. When you stop moving, you start slipping. Bit by bit, your muscles get weaker, your balance gets off. One day it is harder to get out of the chair, then it is harder to stand in the shower, then you are reaching for the handrail every time. It sneaks up on you. There was a woman here named Alice. She was 81 and sharp as a tack. When she first moved in, she told me, "I plan to walk every single day. I do not care what anyone says." And she did, for a while. But then winter came and it got too cold. She skipped a few days. Then it turned into a week. She started using a walker, then a wheelchair. One afternoon she said, "I feel like I aged 10 years in the last 6 months, and honestly, I felt the same." It is not that the nursing home made us weaker on purpose, they just made it easy to stop trying. Everything is so convenient. Push a button and someone helps. But that help, over time, can take away your strength. And strength is not just about lifting things. It is about confidence. It is about feeling capable. When you lose that, you start second-guessing yourself. You stop trying to do things you used to do without thinking. I remember trying to tie my shoes one morning. I sat there, looking at them and thought, maybe I should just ask for help. That is when I realized how far I had slipped. If you are thinking about moving in somewhere like this, think about how you will stay active. Will you walk every day? Will you do stretches in your room? Will you ask staff for support, not just service? Because if you do not move it, you lose it. And once it is gone, getting it back takes 10 times the effort. Some people never get it back at all. So please, do not trade movement for convenience. Comfort feels good in the moment, but independence feels better in the long run. Regret. 5. Loss of privacy and dignity. One thing I never really thought about before moving into a nursing home was how much privacy meant to me. I mean, we all know it's nice to have your own space, but I never realized how much it shaped my dignity, my comfort, and my sense of being an adult. That is, until it started slipping away. Back home, I had a little routine. I woke up when I wanted, close my bedroom door if I need a quiet moment, use the bathroom in peace, take a shower when I feel like it. If I needed time to think, I could take it. If I wanted to sit in silence, I had that option. But once I moved in, those choices changed. Staff would knock, but sometimes they would come in before I could even say a word. They were doing their job, trying to stay on schedule, I get that, but I can't tell you how many times I felt like I was being watched, even when no one meant harm. And then there were the shared spaces. Not everyone gets a private room. I had a roommate, a nice guy, but we were different. He liked the TV loud, he snored, he talked in his sleep. It was not his fault, but it meant I rarely got a full night's rest. Even something as simple as getting dressed wasn't private anymore. If I needed help with a button or getting into the shower, I had to ask. And sometimes I had to wait. Waiting in your towel for someone to come back is not a feeling you get used to. It is awkward, uncomfortable, and honestly, sometimes a little humiliating. There was one morning I will never forget. I had to use the restroom urgently. I pressed the call button. 10 minutes went by, then 15. When someone finally came, they apologized. They were short-staffed. I understood. But at that moment, I felt powerless. Dignity is not about pride, it is about feeling like you still have control over your body, your choices, your space, and when that slips away, even a little, it stays with you. You carry that feeling throughout the day. If you are thinking about moving into a place like this, ask yourself, how much privacy do you need to feel like yourself? Because in a shared environment with rotating staff and schedules to follow, privacy becomes a luxury. And dignity? Well, you might have to fight for that. I am not saying people are cruel. Most of the staff are kind. However, the system does not leave much room for personal space, and when you have spent your whole life deciding how and when things happen, giving that up can be harder than you think. Regret 6. It's harder to leave than you think. When I first agreed to move into the nursing home, I told myself it was temporary. I thought, let me try it for a while. If I do not like it, I can always go back. That thought gave me comfort. It made the decision easier. But here is what no one tells you. Once you move in, going back is not as easy as it sounds. At first, it was all about adjusting, unpacking boxes, meeting staff, getting used to the routine. I kept telling myself, this is just for now, but weeks turned into months. Slowly, I started noticing the changes. My house back home sat empty. My children had good intentions. They started clearing out things I no longer used, donated clothes, sold off some furniture. They meant well, thinking they were helping, but with every item that left that house, the idea of returning felt smaller. And it was not just about the house. I changed too. I stopped cooking. I stopped handling bills. I stopped climbing the stairs. Those little skills faded. My confidence dropped. Suddenly, the idea of living alone again felt scary. There was a man here named Paul. He told me when he moved in, it was just for rehab, 3 months tops. 5 years later, he was still here. His home had been sold, the keys were long gone, and you could see it in his eyes. He never expected to stay. People think nursing homes are something you can walk in and out of, but that is not how it works. Emotionally, it gets harder to imagine a different routine. Physically, you get used to the help. Financially, things change too. Some folks use up their savings. And once those resources go toward care, getting set up elsewhere can feel impossible. And even if you do have a place to return to, you have to ask yourself, are you still able to take care of yourself the way you did before? Would you feel safe? Would your family feel safe letting you try? That is the tough part. Not just leaving physically, but convincing everyone, including yourself, that you can. If I could go back, I would have asked more questions, explored more options, maybe hire a part-time caregiver, looked into modifying my home, but I didn't. I made a decision thinking it was reversible. I found out later, it usually isn't. So before you or someone you love decides to move into a nursing home, think about this. Think about what it would take to leave. Not just packing a bag, but rebuilding your strength, your confidence, your home. It is a lot more complicated than most people realize. Once you settle in, even just a little, it becomes your whole world. And the outside world, it starts to feel further and further away. Ask yourself this, are you prepared for the possibility that this step may be permanent? Because once you stop being part of your old life, it does not wait around forever. Time moves on, people adjust, and sometimes there is no clear path back. I do not regret growing older. Aging is a privilege. What I do regret is believing that a nursing home was my only choice, that I had no other option. I regret giving up before I had to. I thought I was doing the right thing. I wanted to make things easier for my family. I wanted to feel safe and supported, and for a while I did. But little by little, I gave up pieces of myself, not because anyone forced me, but because it just felt easier to follow the routine, easier to stop fighting, easier to be taken care of. But what no one tells you is how slowly that can chip away at your sense of self. At first, it feels like a break, a rest. Then, suddenly, it feels like you are no longer driving your own life. Someone else is steering. I wish I had asked more questions, looked at other ways to get support, pushed a little harder to stay in my home, Because once you step inside those walls, getting back out is not simple. This is not about blame. It is about awareness. And I hope my story gives you the courage to choose with your eyes open. You deserve to know the full picture before making a decision this big, because choices made in the name of safety should never come at the cost of your identity. Not every nursing home is bad. Some people truly need the level of care they offer. But it is important to understand what you are giving up before you move in. It is not just about the medical help or the meals. It is about your choices, your routines, your identity. If I had known what I was trading, I might have made a different choice. Maybe I would have found in-home care. Maybe I would have reached out to friends or family for more help. This is not a decision to make lightly. Think about what matters to you most, because once you give up your independence, getting it back is harder than you think. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, maybe a friend, maybe your son or daughter. Start the conversation. These decisions are hard, but they should not be made alone. Leave a comment if you have thoughts or questions. I read every single one, and if you want more honest talks like this, go ahead and subscribe. It helps more than you know. Let's keep talking about what aging with dignity looks like.